Hi, this is Debonair Furs, and this is my reflection for Module 10. First, what experiences have I had with interactive technologies as a student or a teacher? Well, I have only taught one lesson in the classroom as a teacher, and it was involving kinesthetic learning. So we did not have interactive technologies. It was all about movement. But as a student, at least at my high school, I think, yeah. I mean, we had overhead projectors in grade school that I remember using, but they weren't like data projectors. They weren't like the higher technology. It was like you put the laminated page down and it projected it up onto the chalkboard. And then you, like, it's normally to copy notes and go over worksheets and stuff. So I think once I got up into junior high, yes, they came up with the data projectors and the interactive whiteboards. My biggest problem with them, though, was that while the school went ahead and gave the teachers the technology, none of the teachers were actually taught proper ways to use it and all the different ways that it could be really effective in the classroom. So most of the time, the teachers would basically get fed up with it because they couldn't figure out how to maybe turn it on or get the touch screen to work on the interactive whiteboard, or the pins weren't working, or it wasn't lined up and centered correctly, or whatever they were trying to get downloaded onto the data projector wasn't working. So they ended up just giving up and turning it off, and they would go back to their whiteboards, their regular whiteboards, and write stuff down. But that's pretty much the only technology I've had experience with. And while the technology was cool initially, I just didn't feel that the teachers at my school were given the proper training to work with it, which might be untrue now. They may have gone on to take extra classes now, and they may get a lot more use out of them. Which rendition of the interactive whiteboard and remote would I choose, and why? I chose SmartTech probably because the school that I went to had them. So while they weren't used like in the most effective ways possible, I do have experience with them, and I did I watched the video, and they seem like a really, really good fit for almost any type of educational classroom, especially with elementary school students. And which interactive app did I like the most, and which, if I could only choose one, would I choose for my future classroom? I looked at all of them, and I thought they were all really cool, so I'd hate to only choose one. But I'm all for making learning as fun as possible. And I think a lot of students, obviously, like, there are so many different learning styles, but I thought Kahoot was really cool because it made fun games and quizzes and things, and really interactive versions of them. So I think when students are having fun and they feel like it's all a fun game and stuff, sometimes they don't realize that they're actually learning a lot of content. I know my son is very hyperactive, and we use abcmouse.com, so he plays all these games and he doesn't realize that he's learning a lot using them. So I thought Kahoot was cool because I could help, I could make these interactive games, and they would be to my criteria. They'd be teaching exactly what I want them to teach, and I could make them unique for each different class or different study groups with the students and things. So I thought Kahoot was a hoot. Huh. Sorry. Thoughts? What are my thoughts, and what have I learned from the article that I read, and would I have similar results if I utilized clickers in the classroom? I guess the thing I really learned was that clickers, as long as the teachers knew how to use them effectively and the students were comfortable with them, they would have nothing but a positive effect. They created a different type of atmosphere to the room, but the main thing was obviously to make a well-designed lesson plan to go along with them. And that would have been the best way to get the best results, basically, with students, is what I learned from that. I think my results would definitely depend on the amount of time and energy I took into understanding the technology and understanding the use of the clicker, and creating really good interactive lesson plans to go along with it. That would only be highlighted by the use of the technology. And then also how much effort I put into making sure that the students were involved in the lessons and maybe could learn how to use the clicker themselves. Because I feel like sometimes when you give students that extra push, or that little extra bit of responsibility, they just take it more seriously. And they gives them a sense of confidence, especially getting that type of responsibility in front of their peers. So, I think it's all just about how comfortable I am with the technology and how comfortable I would make my students with the technology, and how well I can make the lessons and the technology all flow together and work together to our benefit. Thank you. I think that is everything for my reflection over Module 10.